ceasefire next after I talk about the farewell speech. Biden's farewell speech, to me, it kind of seems like he was trying to channel an Eisenhower-esque type of farewell speech. And the reason why I say this is because Eisenhower was a general. Eisenhower was involved with a lot of bloody conflicts. And after the end of his term as president, he gave this important speech that I think is one of the most important speeches in American history. No, now I'm gonna remind you, I do not agree with what Eisenhower has done during his tenure as president, but the warning of the military industrial complex in his speech was one of the most important speeches that everyone should listen and hear and keep in your mind when you go to the ballot box or when you decide to be pro fan club for the squad or any kind of politician. We should not be making celebrities out of any politicians or being fans of any politicians. Their job is to serve us. Their job is to work for us. But they don't. They work for the oligarchs here. And what do oligarchs love? Money. And what are we really good at doing with making money? Wars. We only had 20 years of peace in our American history. We are always in some kind of conflict or funding some kind of conflict. And this is what Eisenhower words said is exactly what we're seeing today. It's a military industrial complex. And the complex must continue to make money. And how do they make money? Expansion of wars. We are a war-loving country. That's something that a lot of people have to understand. Whenever somebody says this is not who we are, I disagree with you. This is exactly who we are. And you cannot sit here and pretend it's not, because at the end of the day, blood is shed so the wealthy could remain rich and the poor can become poorer. That's just the fact of the matter of fact. That's what made me a socialist, understanding that the working class, and I'm not talking about just one part of the working class, all of the working class, the left, the right, the in between, the moderates, the anarchists, the socialists, the libertarians, all of the working class, if we get a full understanding that we have more in common as working people, and we are a paycheck away from being homeless compared to being a paycheck away from being a billionaire, and we see that we have a ruling party that only serves the ruling class, that's when we need to come together and realize that we need to overthrow that class. I don't know how plain I can explain it, but that is exactly the type of altitude that we're in. And in the Trump era, that is exactly the mindset that we need to have. Even in the Biden era, even in the Obama era, even in the Bush era, all these eras, they were all ruling class puppets. They were not to serve us. They were to serve the rich. Obama said in his book himself, I read his book, A Promised Land, I believe it was called. He said in his book talking about Wall Street that he had a choice to either bail out the housing market or the homeowners, or to bail out Wall Street. And what did he do? What did he do, guys? Obama bailed out Wall Street. That's what he did. He bailed out Wall Street. He did not bail out the homeowners. He bailed out Wall Street. So remember that. That's why while he's getting his Wall Street checks and everything, and he's doing his speeches, remember why he's getting his Wall Street checks and doing his speeches. Now, Biden's speech was warning. The reason why we're talking about oligarchs and all this right now, because Biden's speech was warning us about oligarchy. And Biden supports the oligarchy. Biden does everything he can for the oligarchy. Biden is quoted saying that he was literally putting himself out there earlier in his career as a politician to tell them, give me money and I will do whatever you guys need me to do. He literally told these oligarchs that. Now, on his last term, because he's not getting a second term, on his last term, he's warning us about the people he's been serving for the last 50 years he's been in the White House. Isn't that ironic? Last 50 years, he's been in DC, not just the White House. So the Senate, you know what I mean, and so on.